So, hello, folks. My name is Andy Port. I'm the Director of Planning and Development for the City of Newburyport. I'm acting as the backup Zoom host tonight. We have a storm that's going on, and it's having some disruption to various folks' connections. So hopefully things will run smoothly tonight. But I'll leave it to the chair, Joe, and the rest of the commission how they want to handle things. But Julie Goffredson, who is remote right now, may be having difficulty connecting. So, Joe, do you want to? I'll leave it to you as to how you want to run through the agenda.
I'm trying to connect with Julie.
Okay.
Give me a second.
Okay, so bear with us just a second, folks.
Hi, Julie. All right, I'm gonna stick you on speakerphone and put you next to my mic. Okay. All right, say something.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Well, hopefully you'll be able to hear them too.
Great.
All right, let's bring this meeting to order. This is the This is the August 4th, 2020 Newburyport Conservation Commission hearing being held on the July 21st, on the Zoom platform. This meeting is being recorded. First item are the approval of the meeting minutes from July 21st. Any comments, questions?
Motion to accept?
Second.
Okay, Paul?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I vote yes. I guess Dan's not here. Okay.
What about Ron?
What's that?
Ron votes yes.
Oh, Ron, sorry.
Ron.
Where are you, Ron?
That's right.
Oh, there you are. Okay, Ron, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Next item do we have any Plum Island updates? I know Julie does not. David, do you have anything?
No, I'm not aware of anything.
Okay. So we'll pass on from that. We have the 363rd Street is actually 563rd Street. There was two applications, or one application for two lots, and this one's for 563rd Street. With a minor change to the plans. Julie, you want to comment on that?
Yes. So is Tom Hughes on board right now?
Yes.
Okay, maybe we should see if, Andy, can you let Tom Hughes speak? Because this was his discussion item. He asked for this to be on the agenda tonight. It has to do with an extra utility chase that was constructed for 563rd Street.
Right.
Yeah, Tom, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Can you also unmute Lisa, please?
I did, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, thank
excellent.
you.
Lisa, do you want to start?
Yeah, I will. So thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. As Julia said, this is a minor change to an approved plan, and we're not here to formally have it done because we haven't made that formal submission, and we're getting together our certificates of compliance. However, we have a closing coming up for which we remain responsible, obviously, for the certificate of compliance. But prior to that closing, we want to know that the commission is okay with the minor change to the plan. So what the issue is that the plan for the commissioners who weren't on the board at the time, this is a 5-family, which is unusual on Plum Island. It's a vestige of a pre-existing non-conforming use and structure. And when the permit was first approved, we had 2 chases for water and sewer to service the units. What we didn't think about at the time is that it was a 5-unit structure on Plum Island, which would also require fire suppression under the state building code. And so a 3rd chase was constructed, and it's that 3rd chase that's not shown on the plans that were approved that we want to make sure that the commission is comfortable approving as, which will be part of the as-built plans. And I'm going to let Tom go into the details of the actual chase itself and some things that happened today that will better inform the commission.
Thank you, Lisa. Now, Andy, I don't know if you got it. I literally just sent 2 minutes ago when I realized Julia was not online. A PDF I sent late this afternoon to her for presentation.
It's a little late, but if you hang on a second, I can try to pull it up.
Yeah, I think that'll be really helpful. But so in the permitting process, we thought we would try to really minimize impacts for the 5 unit, and instead of doing 5 utility chases for each unit, we consolidated down to 2. And we had proposed 2 utility chases at 3.5 by 3.5. What was constructed, so this is what you see right here is the permit plan. So you can see in gray, there were 2 utility chases that were based on best understanding of where the utilities were located. And then during construction, the location of those shifted slightly, but that would normally be no material issue whatsoever. If we go to the next page, what I'll show you is the, so if you zoom in here, so there are 3 utility chases. Now, all 3 comply with that paragraph H of the regulations, which says that they have to be less than 3.5 by 3.5. We had some discussions. As soon as we discovered there was an extra one, we tried to figure out, is there an easy way to get rid of it? You know, from the permitting end discovered. I mean, the builder had communication with Public Works and with the fire department and the water department, and this was a construction change made and brought into the loop too late to come to you ahead of time. So we tried to figure out how can we make this thing smaller. We had a couple different options, and we were coming in tonight initially hoping to try to bring this 3 by 3 down to a 2-foot circle. And the point of that would have been that we would then be able to tell you that the cross-sectional area of all the utility chases would actually have been less than what was permitted, because the 3.5 by 3.5, 2 of them adds up to like 28 and change for square feet. And we did 2 3 by 3s, which only adds up to 18, plus then the final 3 by 3, which ends up, I think my math might be a little off in what I'm explaining to you, but essentially we were 2.7 square feet over in overall cross-section of utility chases on the plan, and we thought we could bring that down. But today, the deputy from the fire department came out to inspect the system and relate to the builder that they strongly preferred that we leave it at 3 by 3 because it provides better insulation and better protection for the fire and safety. So we are here to ask if there's, if the commission would accept us leaving a 3rd utility chase. It still is less utility chases per unit than is normal, and all 3 are compliant and smaller than the maximum size allowed by the regulations. The other options that could be done but are not as amenable to the fire department, the other 2 options, one is to remove the framed chase that is around a 2-foot conveyance for the water pipe, and then we would insulate the inside of that. And the other option is to get rid of all of that and put a 12-inch pipe around it, insulate it, and put heat tape. There's a lot of concern about what happens if the heat tape fails, whereas the system that's in right now is better protected for potential freezing. Now, the other thing I do want to remind you on this project in particular, we did have an increase in vegetation of about 1,400 square feet as a result of the approval. And in addition, and I think Julia has seen these plants, the builder has opted not to go with just the minimum of American beach grass throughout the site. He's put in a number of really nice large native woody plants throughout the area as well as some blue stem and some other herbaceous and smaller plants that mix up and provide a lot more biodiversity than what was approved. So there's a lot of really, on the environmental end, there's a lot of real compelling things to offset having a third utility chase.
Yeah, and I want to just follow up on Tom. So again, we're not here to approve the entire plan, but to get feedback from the board that a chase of some sort will be acceptable. This particular one, as the deputy said late this afternoon, you've got the pipe inside this 2-foot sleeve, and then outside the 2-foot sleeve is all insulation, and then it's surrounded by the wood frame, and that's his preference. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
I guess one question I would have would you be able to get a statement from him saying that's what the fire department prefers?
Yeah, we can. I mean, we certainly can get a statement from him, and I guess given our timing, if that's because that's exactly what he said tonight. If the board is okay with it, so long as he says that that's what he wants, then yeah, I'm fine. I'm certainly fine asking for that. I guess what I would need to know, Mr. Chair, is that let's say he doesn't say that, and I have no reason to doubt that he would. Is the board amenable to the third chase regardless of size? That's really, we can work out whatever construction is that satisfies the board and the fire department. What I need to know before a closing occurs is that you will approve a third chase.
So I just have one question. Is in the 2 existing chases, is there not room for this additional water pipe?
That's correct. So that's one of the problems. Because the chases just, they serve, they've got the water and sewer coming up, but then you would also add the fire department line. And it's our understanding that in fact, there's too many conflicts.
Right. The other issue, as I understand it, is the sprinkler room. It's sort of central to the building, and too many elbows in the fire suppression pipe becomes a problem. So they wanted something that would come directly up into it
And eliminate the elbows.
Right.
So just of the 3 chases, which one is the one you're adding? Is it the one in the middle?
Well, so the one in the middle. So what you have in front of you is part of the as-built plan, and we discovered this on the permitting side of things. We discovered this during the as-built part of things, which is why I immediately got a hold of Julia and was like, "We have an issue here. We need to talk to the commission about." And then we immediately tried to find ways to make things smaller, and apparently the fire department really strongly prefers it being this size. But it's that middle one that's a circle in the middle, because this was our when we submitted this was going to be our preferred means of going forward until we heard from the deputy.
So which one is the new chase?
It's
The one in the middle. Do you see the 3 squares?
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so the
Oh, I thought you just said that was the preferred one before the fire department got involved.
No, so what was preferred was see the circle in the middle.
Yeah.
What we were talking about doing was removing framing from the outside and then putting the insulation inside the 2-foot sleeve.
Right, okay.
And unfortunately, the fire department's not a fan of that. So, but I think what Lisa's getting at is if the fire department can get us a letter, if you would accept the chase as is, and if not, if we could at least get the commission's agreement that we could fall back on one of the other 2 options, which is either the 2-foot heavily insulated pipe or the 1-foot with a heat trace that, at least theoretically keeps the pipe from freezing in severe conditions. But there's a lot of concern about power failure or failure to work over the long run.
So we're talking about an additional 9 square feet under the building?
Yes.
It's actually, but it ends up being an additional 2.7 square feet because the other 2 are smaller than what was approved.
I'd say we should get what the fire department would most like to have. We're talking really small square footage here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with
So it sounds like if the fire department can confirm that in writing, you're good with it. But if not, is it okay for us to take away from this that we can come up with some way to do this without having to rip it all out and,
Well, it's a whole issue. I mean, that's a whole fire department issue, how that gets handled, but.
Yeah, I would find it very hard to believe that the fire department's not going to sign a letter that you draft or put it on their letterhead saying this is what we prefer. And
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm really not worried about that. That's what he expressed tonight, and it's, Deputy Bradbury, and he's going to say what he says. So our bottom line is the commission would approve a chase there. If it's going to be this size, you want a letter from the deputy. Otherwise, we can talk about what size it is.
Yes.
Sure.
okay. So Lisa, is that what you need for?
Yeah, I do. I kind of like a head nod from, more than two of the members.
Yeah. And I would say, I would, regardless of what letter the fire department writes, I would kind of hate to see a fire system based on heat tape.
Yeah,
This doesn't seem right.
definitely don't want that.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get that to you. And I think I heard from 4 or 5 members now. So that's great. We really appreciate it. Thank you for letting us pop this on the agenda.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
All right. So we have no certificates of compliance or requests for determination. So can I get a motion to open the public hearings?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Jane,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and I say yes. Julie, you still there? Maybe that's why she's so quiet, unless she's on mute.
Oh, hey guys, I'm still here. Sorry, I didn't
Okay.
realize I was still on mute.
Yeah. You were making a lot of noise eating. All right. Next item, Holly McDonald, 468th Street, notice of intent, continued from 7/21. We have Mike Seacamp out there.
Yep. And Holly McDonald and Mike Seacamp, you should be able to unmute yourselves on your end and speak to the board.
How's that?
Um,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you
Yes,
now.
Mike, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. We have revised the plan. We all set for me to present?
Yes.
And
Yeah, Mike, if you could just clarify if there's a particular plan sheet you'd like to reference, otherwise I'll try to pull up what's most relevant.
yeah, we submitted a revised plan, and it is dated July 2nd. And this was done by Waypoint Survey.
Okay.
So one of the issues originally was that being in the AO zone, the original plan was greater than 20%. Yeah, that's the plan there. Greater than a 20% increase in size. So we went to FEMA. We thought maybe we could overturn the AO zone. The land there is pretty high, but it didn't work. So anyway, we're back. We downsized. The current proposed structure is less than a 20% increase. The deck is actually going to be slightly smaller than the existing deck, and everything's going to be raised up on piles. We will be 11 feet above the base flood elevation. The utility chase will be 7 feet above the base flood elevation. And let's see, what other relevant, and because we're going to be impacting about 160 square feet above what is currently impervious on the site. We are proposing to plant beach grass, and if you look at page 3 of the revised project narrative, you can see that mostly what's there is sand and beach grass currently. There are 2 Atlantic red cedars, eastern red cedars rather. Yeah, that's the, so our mitigation proposal is to fill in the gaps with the Ammophila bevilligulata, which is beach grass. And that's what's currently there. It's pretty tan because I took these pictures back in March, I think it was. But that's the mitigation. So that obviously this is going to be removed, this structure, a slightly larger one with a slightly smaller deck will be well above the flood elevation. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Julie, you got any comments on this?
Yeah. Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Mike, okay, so Mike, a couple of things on this. First of all, I can see on the plan that I'm looking at here, proposed site plan, you show the existing first 1-story building to be removed. And
Yep.
then the darker outline, I'm assuming, is the proposed 2-story building to be constructed.
Correct. Yep.
And you're saying that that is not more than a 20% increase in the existing footprint?
It is not. Yeah, and on the in the narrative, I have the dimensions.
You have the calculations for that?
Yep.
Like what?
Deck is excluded, correct?
At this plan, it looks like it's greater than 20%.
Yeah, I had to
And I
double
don't have
check.
those numbers in front of me.
I had to double check it myself, but that's what it comes out to. It's just about at 20%.
Can you define a little better what the existing is? Because I see some arrows here I'm not quite sure about.
Well, the lighter solid line is the existing deck and the existing single-story building. There's an overlap on the south and west side with what's proposed.
So that arrow on the lower left-hand side, that where the 10-foot-4 is and proposed, that's actually, that arrow is right over where the existing.
Yeah,
building is?
Yeah, what you see in red there now is the existing building.
Okay.
Is it just me, or does that look like more than a 20% increase in the footprint?
Is this
I'm sorry, that's existing there. So there's your existing building, and you can see that the lot line is, it's 2.3 feet from the lot line. So we're going to be more conforming when it comes to zoning.
Yeah,
so you can see now where the extra square footage is compared to the proposed.
Yeah, that looks more like it's going to be around 20%.
Yeah. Yeah, the numbers are, the existing building footprint is 575 square feet, proposed is 747. The existing deck is 244 and the proposed is 232. So, and that's what we used in the impervious calculations.
So
Wait,
the existing building is 24.5 feet by, and I can't tell, there's no dimension for the existing building going up and down. Is that?
Actually, no, the 24.5 feet is the proposed building.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Go ahead, Steve.
so what are the dimensions of the existing building?
Well, I know I can give you the square footage, but I don't have the length.
Well, I'd just like to make sure that, you know, the dimensions match the number of square feet that you're coming up with. And looking at the plan, I can't tell that.
Yeah, we submitted another plan, which is the footprint. Yeah,
other
there we go.
plans? This is the only set of plans that we have, Mike. You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
So I'm not sure what other plan you're talking about, Mike, but I think we just need to confirm that, I mean, we have the proposed ground floor plan and we have this site plan. And on the site plan, we can see a sketch of the existing first one-story building, but I think we need to just make sure we're all confirming that the dimensions of the existing building are available so that we can confirm the numbers for square footage of the footprint, and the increase in the footprint is not more than 20% of the existing.
Okay, so you just
What were
need
the
those
areas
numbers.
you had given again?
Excuse me.
It almost sounded, when you said those numbers earlier for the square footage,
Yeah,
it sounded more like a 50% increase in square footage.
Yeah, what would,
Hi, this is Captain Holly McDonald. And I can clarify that, I believe.
Go ahead.
Okay.
The length of the existing house is 30 feet long, and the width of the existing house is 19 and a half feet long, 19 and a half feet wide, plus the deck.
Okay, it would really be helpful. We're gonna probably need a couple other plans, and it would really be
Yeah.
helpful if we had one showing the dimensions of the existing house. Because, we need to definitely.
Yeah, and it's not, and it also, it was hard to read this plan, but it has existing deck and then proposed deck, and the proposed deck certainly looks bigger than the existing, but it's smaller. Yeah, I think a better plan with some better numbers.
Yeah, maybe
existing versus-
a plan without the overlay.
so what you need is a separate plan for existing and with all the dimensions more
Yeah.
clearly defined,
Yeah,
and then the proposed.
yeah, I just did a quick number here, and if I go 30 times 19.5, I get 585 square feet. And if I take 20% of that, I get 117, which either I'm doing something wrong here or it doesn't add up.
What are you saying, David, that
The existing building is 575 square feet.
Okay, and then go 0.2 times that is 232. Wait a minute.
115.
Yeah, 115.
the 115 plus 5, whatever that was?
So it's
Doesn't go to
basically
747.
But the existing deck is smaller. The existing deck is bigger than the proposed deck,
Correct.
making it under 20% increase of the footprint of the house.
Okay, so really, if we have the separate plans and have, do the calculations on the plans so we can see exactly, I think I see where you're saying the existing deck is bigger, but it's just confusing. This whole thing's confusing for us, and we need to have it pretty concrete before we make any decisions.
All right.
Where is the parking for this?
Go ahead.
Where is the parking for the building? Is it underneath or is there a driveway somewhere?
If you look at the second page of the project narrative, you can see the parking is on that side of the house. That's the south side.
Well, this is Andy Port. I just wanted to note, I think that also points out there aren't any elevations that clarify that, right?
Elevations, they're shown on the plan there. It's
Not elevations though, right?
We'll
elevation 14 is approximately where the parking is.
Okay.
No, the elevations of the structure.
Right, we need a side view of the structure and elevations between the sand and the lowest horizontal member.
Okay, that was actually submitted with the original filing, and that hasn't changed?
It doesn't appear to be part of the plan set that was provided based on what we're seeing here.
Well, we provided it with the original submission, and it included the entire zoning filing, which showed all the elevations.
Was it included in the electronic version that was provided? Because what we're viewing here is exactly what was given to us, I presume.
Well, I did provide it.
It was not included in the original electronic filing because there was no original electronic filing. This is the only electronic filing that we've received. So this is the only version that the commission has actually received. We got nothing but a paper copy of the original filing. So we do, Michael, we do need elevation sketches for this project electronically.
Okay.
So
And
at
in
present, the
addition,
application
I'd like
is
to
incomplete.
suggest that we could also use an electronic copy or any copy of a landscape plan because this is changing the footprint of the building and increasing it by 20% or just slightly less than 20%. I just did the calculations and it is just slightly less than that, but we need to have a mitigation plan for the impact to the dune with that increase in footprint, and there's no plan that shows that.
Well, of course, I often say a picture's worth 1,000 words. You can see the areas that are bare sand, and there's more than 160 square feet. We've defined how many culms of beach grass will be planted there. There you go. So we're looking at basically a 12 by 12 area, approximately 12 by 13, that needs to be filled in with the beach grass.
Yeah, and I think what Julia's pointing out is just that needs to be shown on the site plan. It can't be just referenced in a photograph via verbal means.
Well, we could show this whole area, but I guess what we'd have to do is, we're not going to pick up each one of these individual beach grasses that are on there. So we'll show an area that's greater than the area that needs to be planted, and then we'll just describe that as an area that will be filled in with beach grass. How does that sound?
That makes sense to me.
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine, Michael. We just need to have it on a plan so that later we can confirm that the area that was supposed to be planted has been planted.
Okay.
Also, you said you were going to replace the red cedars.
The two eastern red cedars.
It would be nice if the plan also showed where those were going to go.
Where they'll go? Okay.
You had started to describe the parking or the entrance way. Where is that?
It's on the south side of the building, currently, right next to
Okay, you might want to
68th Street.
call that out as well.
Show that, okay.
Yeah.
We'll define the extent of the parking.
And
Yeah,
that's just going to be on the sand?
That is the plan
Right.
at this point.
Patrick, Michael, what's the parking area or driveway area going to consist of?
Well, it's not going to be changed. It's what's there now, which is sand and gravel.
Okay, that needs to be called out as well.
Need to call it out? You
On the
mean
plan.
just
On the
describe it
plan.
as not changing?
It needs to be sketched onto the site plan, and the materials that associated with it need to be called out on the site plan.
Okay.
All right, we have anything else?
Yeah, so you want the elevation plan? And then you want two separate plans showing proposed and existing. And where the mitigation area will be. Any other?
Did you say the
Requirements?
elevation, the site elevation plan of the structure?
Right, okay. Yeah, elevation plan, right.
And then we need the driveway and we need the landscape.
Yep.
And the
That'll be on, those will be on the proposed plan.
and the calculations on the,
And we'll do a chart on the plan with the calculations?
Yeah, and dimensions would be nice too.
Okay. And your next meeting is the 18th?
Yes.
I'm just curious on the calculation, how does the stairway figure into this? Is that part of the proposed structure, or is that, or not, as far as area? I mean, being as close as you are to 20%, I'm just wondering.
That's included in the proposed structure,
Okay.
the stairs coming down from the deck.
We have anything else?
I'm good.
Okay. Anybody in the public want to comment? I'm not seeing any raised hands. So you're looking for a continuance?
We are. Yeah, we'd like to continue to the 18th.
Okay. Get a motion?
Motion to continue to August 18th.
Second.
Okay, Jane. Okay, Jane, you're gonna vote.
All right, yes.
Okay. David,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Next. Thanks. Next item is Christopher Haran, Seacoast Homes LLC, 192 Northern Boulevard. They have, as Tom Hughes can say, or I'll just say, they've requested a continuance to the next meeting. They're still discussing with DEP.
Motion to continue to August 18th.
Second,
All right, Jane,
yes.
David,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, next item is Massachusetts Division of Marine Fisheries, Plum Island Beach, North Reservation Terrace, notice of intent. Who do we have present for that?
Who do we have in the audience that is presenting that application?
Is no one present for this?
There's a Barbara Smith and Jeff Sprague.
Hmm.
And someone at with a 603 area code calling in.
That's me,
That's you? Oh,
right?
oh no, you're on my phone.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well,
So, oh my goodness. I guess that we should continue that to the next meeting then.
Yeah.
No one's here for that.
Does,
Yeah, I'm looking through the application and nobody on the application is in the audience, it looks like, so.
okay. Well,
Okay, well, that makes it easy.
yeah. Okay.
That's it.
Julia, did you forward that public comment to the applicant?
I did not forward it to the applicant. No, I forwarded it to you all, but not to the applicant today. I apologize for that. I just got it this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I will send that to them as an FYI, as well as letting them know that they'll be on the next agenda. I'm not sure why they're not here tonight. Interesting, because their application is complete, and I know that they're already in talks with the city on some access issues. So,
Well, I guess I gotta
Anyway.
wait 2 weeks.
Yep.
I mean, I had a couple suggestions if you want to forward them on to them.
Okay. All right. Sure.
One was, you know, when they're going out to access the existing well number 2, it's over the dune. If they could get there by going around on the beach, would be a lot less impact to the dune. I'm not sure that they can get there from the beach or not, but
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I will ask them if they've looked at that alternative.
okay. And the other thing was the trench they wanted to dig to connect the new well number 2 to the existing well number 1. Instead of digging a trench, I mean, I recently had a new gas line installed to our house and they didn't dig anything up. They just kind of burrowed underneath the sidewalk and everything else and came up right next to the house. If they could,
Right.
you know, I would think they'd be able to, you know, burrow through sand pretty easily without digging it up and then having to refill it and storing the sand while
Right.
it's doing that.
It's sort of like directional drilling. I don't know if that's exactly what it's called, but something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Okay. All right, I'll ask them about that too.
Okay.
All right, got a motion to continue?
So moved.
Second,
Jane,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Ron, Paul,
yes.
I vote yes. By the way, I'm reading you from left to right as I see you on my screen. All right, in that case, can I get a motion to close the public hearings?
So
So moved.
moved.
Second.
All right, Jane,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, next item are enforcement violations, 1176th Street. Yeah, Lisa and Tom are there.
Right. This one, I don't know if Tom wants to talk about it or not, I don't know the level of interaction he's had with this property owner, but I have prepared an enforcement order to send to them because they had submitted a partially complete notice of intent a month or two ago to do a landscaping project around the existing home on 1176th Street, but they started it without any permits. They started building concrete steps. They took out vegetation and put down a lot of gravel. They really just had there are a lot of violations on the site. We asked them to stop work and submit a notice of intent, which they were doing. And they were even working with DEP to ensure that they were providing all the correct information for that notice of intent. And then all communication stopped with this property owner, and they went ahead and erected a fence and finished the work without any permits and without without even coming to the commission. So I prepared an enforcement. This all was realized last week. I prepared an enforcement order that I think I sent photos to you guys of the situation that I saw when I was out there last week. And at a minimum, the fence would need to come down because it's not compliant. Vegetation needs to be replaced. The steps and landings sort of at the front of the house that they created probably are not compliant as well. We need a full notice of intent. So basically, I would just be asking you all to ratify the enforcement order tonight so that I can send it to the applicant, to the property owner.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually contacted by the property owner it was the evening before Julia sent the email to him about the pending enforcement. He expressed to me that he had become overwhelmed with the permitting process and wanted my help providing missing information and trying to bring everything kind of up to speed. And then when the email came out, I made a point to get out there right away, looked over things. I saw many of the things Julie saw. I have started compiling historic information in terms of photographs, and the realtor listing for this site had like 42 photographs on it, plus Mr. Condon had a number of photographs that they had taken before doing work. I think his wife is a designer, so she just sort of takes a ton of pictures of things. So luckily we've got a lot of good information to be able to try to put together an after the fact existing conditions plan. And then all of the things that don't comply with regulations will come out and be replaced with compliant things. We need time to be able to put together that, the full filing that you would expect with all of that, all of those things. But we are working on it. Lisa is also working with me on it and we're trying to get this along quickly. We recognize that there are some things, the front steps, cinder blocks supporting them, I think that they are non-compliant. I need to see exactly what was there before. There are some photographs. I have not gone through and looked at those, but I believe that those are non-compliant, would be replaced. The rear fence would need to be replaced. The backyard was all paver stone. That has been replaced with pea stone. So there are some beneficial things, and there are an awful lot of plantings that are put in the front. But I think we're going to be able to come up with a good quantification of what was there for vegetation beforehand and what's there now. And we will make sure that we provide at least a balance for vegetation. We wanted to convey that we're going to be working, with the commission and with the client on this to get it right. And what we'd like to do is get that plan, sort of a plan of action in the form of notice of intent into you guys ASAP, and then carry that out and, and do so in a timely manner.
Well, I think if I could, Mr. Chair and Tom, if I could add on there a little bit too, and I think the timing would be shorter than normally in order to respond to an enforcement order and file a brand new notice of intent. The applicant has already filed a notice of intent. It needs to be redone based upon everything that Tom has just talked about. The notice to the abutters didn't go out, but so we don't have to wait the same amount of time. We can amend that and update it and get it into the commission in a more timely fashion. So I guess the board is probably going to issue the enforcement order as appropriate. We'd ask you to hold in abeyance any fines with the commitment that we will be filing an appropriate amendment to the notice of intent to address those things that are not in compliance and to make sure that the work that has been done or is done will be corrected, as Tom said.
Yeah, for me, a lot of these things are going to need to get removed post haste. Frankly, the fence, he certainly saw the guidelines on the fence. It's pretty straightforward, and he actually picked one of the fence designs that is specifically called out and prohibited. We wouldn't be having this issue if he just put up a chain link fence, at least for that part. But that fence is going to have to come down very soon. If he wants to throw a chain link fence inside there to keep his child and dog safe, that's fine. But I'm honestly, because he discussed this and then just went ahead and did it anyways, I'm not really inclined to give him any leeway on it, frankly.
Mr. Chair, what if we provided, I clearly hear you about the fence, and Tom does too. Our client's not available this evening, but what if we gave you a commitment that in the next 2 weeks on that particular fence, that we came back and reported to you that that was addressed while we finished bringing everything else up to speed?
Yeah, if he wants to pull it down, that's
That helps.
that's what I would want for,
Yeah.
that would be my first requirement, is to get that thing out of there.
Can I ask if we were able to provide a clearly compliant substitute that could go in while we're also under the enforcement order? Would that be something acceptable to the commission? As you mentioned, a chain link or something similar. You know, we've done, we have to talk to the client obviously about what he would choose, but we've done those post and rails with, you know, the wire mesh or something along those lines. If it was clearly compliant and acceptable to Julia, would we be able to swap that out so that the concerns about the kids are, you know,
The dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's, go
I
ahead,
think
Paul.
that'd be okay.
yeah. Okay. So I think we hear you on that. I mean, there's no doubt when I walk in the backyard and look at that fence is not on your, not on your radar under the approvable fences. So yeah, we certainly can work with a client to help them choose an appropriate substitute and get that done. Assuming he can get somebody to actually do it physically that quickly, you know, do it right away.
Well, you better find somebody to do it pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
Or at least take it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And can you give us an idea of when we could expect a notice of intent filed by you guys?
Well, we're trying to get the surveyor brought in. I've already talked to Everett about it and gone over a couple things with him, but he needs to be brought in, and that's right now on me to connect him with the client. So just guessing from past work where we've had to kind of forensically do an existing plan, we have to both do the field survey and we need to work through these photos. That's probably the longest part. I think we could probably get that accomplished in the next 10 days. And then from there, putting on what's proposed shouldn't take very long because it's a matter of, okay, you know, stairs need to be replaced with this needs to be replaced with that, and so much of this area needs to be vegetated, or proving to you that there was a balance. I mean, once we conditions plan, the rest is pretty straightforward, I think. So I would say a couple weeks to get to that. Then because the notice was flawed to the abutters, and it's not on the agenda, when it, I know I was on the meeting when you guys talked about it, and the client was not online and you guys did something. Did you continue it to a date certain?
No, I think we just tabled the whole thing because it was so incomplete.
Right. So I think we'll need to rerun the legal ad in the paper.
Oh, yeah.
Notify the abutters. So we'll need to meet that time frame. If we run the ad ourselves and don't go through the city, we can usually do that the Thursday, a week and a half before. So I think we could probably make your meeting. We won't be able to make your next meeting because of the public notice issues, but we can the meeting after that.
Like the first meeting in September, maybe.
Right.
The only issue I have with that is it's election day, and I know it's a primary.
Oh, yeah, it's
Primary.
Yeah.
So how about if we commit to this? We can give you an update at the next meeting with regards to the fence and with regard to a date certain by which we would file. But I think if you're not going to have a meeting because of election, we can make the next meeting after your August 18th meeting, I believe.
Yeah, we should. Well,
That's
no.
September 1st, which is election day.
No,
Right.
right. But your meeting, what are you gonna reschedule or just have one meeting in September?
Actually, with regards to not having the meeting, we're not, yeah, I suppose we shouldn't have the meeting. I was thinking that we normally have it at the senior center, but it's probably, people are not paying attention that much on the election day anyways.
Yeah, you're permitted to have, you're permitted to have a meeting. I don't know what the policy of the city is. If it's a matter under 40A, you may not have a meeting. It's a violation of the statute, but the Concom isn't under that same prohibition, but there are other reasons not to have a
We
meeting.
got guidance last
Yeah,
year.
we are. I've talked with Richard Jones about this, Julia. I've talked with Richard Jones about it. We are permitted, as Lisa indicated, to have a public meeting, whereas I think the zoning board and maybe planning board are not. But it is recommended that we don't
Right.
have
Yeah, no, it's right.
on
It's,
election if possible. So, I mean, it just has to be thought of in those terms.
yeah.
So why don't we leave it as at the next meeting, we will have the fence removed, and if we can find a suitable replacement, that'll happen at the same time. And then we'll update the commission on that. And by then, hopefully you've figured out which September meeting it is, and we can let you know where we are in the plan development, you know, and be certain at that point. I mean, until I'm making best educated guesses at the time frame we can make, but until Everett's actually got the field work done and we've gone through these photos and all that, you know, there's
So
a little bit
how
of,
about this, Tom? How about on the 18th, you provide to the commission evidence that the fence has been remedied, taken down, replaced with a compliant one, whatever the case may be on that, with photographs for the 18th, and then an update on progress towards the notice of intent.
Right.
okay. And can I ask one question? The backyard fence is absolutely, you know, it's solid. There's no doubt. The one in the front is one of those vinyl picket ones. It has 50% open, but it does have a piece parallel to the ground. And Julia and I talked about this when I first let her know I'd been brought in on it. That's something I think we'd like to discuss with the commission, but it is 50% open with the exception of that little cross piece at the bottom. So,
Yeah, I'm personally not interested in allowing that, frankly.
okay. All right.
That's one of the fences that's the one I was referring to when I said it's actually listed in our requirements that document we have. And
Yes, I never really looked at that document because I always tell people that I recommend split rail or split rail with wire because, you know, I always try to recommend what is clearly over there and not on the edge. But, okay, so I just wanted to clarify that because I didn't want to only do half of it and then end up, you know, on the wrong side of things.
yeah,
Just to add my 2 cents worth in here, given what's happened out there, I'm not inclined to be lenient either.
We
no,
will come in with a plan that meets the requirements of the commission.
Great.
yeah, I don't want this one dragging out like we've had other ones dragging out either, so.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, I mean, the good news is, I mean, I was hired before he realized it was an enforcement thing and brought in to try to clean up the permitting process. It was a mess. And, you know, and we've got Lisa in pretty quick and I've got Everett already in the beginning stages being engaged, you know, so we are trying to move very quickly on this.
If it makes the commission feel better in the enforcement order, if you're going to issue it, or if you're just, depending on whatever you do tonight, if you want to put out the timeframes so that you know that we're going to meet those timeframes and or report back to you. So that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yes. Well, we could say something like that, okay, you'll provide the update on the fence and progress towards the notice of intent on August 18th. And a notice of intent will be submitted to the commission for a public hearing no later than the second meeting in September.
That's fine. I think
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
Right.
me too.
Yep, that's good.
All right. So, all right, so do we want to vote on the issuance of the enforcement order?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this one that we actually have to sign, or can we do it the way we've been doing all the others?
We can do it with you all voting on it, allows me to send it, and you've essentially ratified it without having to sign it yourself. But I can actually also do an electronic signature form to attach to it if you take the vote tonight.
Okay.
And then I will attach these little conditions that we just discussed along with it.
Okay.
Motion to issue the enforcement order?
Second,
Okay, Jane,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Paul,
yes.
and I vote yes.
Excellent.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, do we have anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay. In that case, can I get a motion?
Motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn?
Ah, Paul beat you, Steve.
Oh,
Well, I guess Steve second.
I can withdraw my motion.
That's okay.
All right, Jane,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Good evening, everybody.
All right.
Good evening.
Good night.
Good night, Julie.
Aye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.